New storm windows are so energy efficient. It's astonishing to me. The one thing that I always look for is there a center bar on the storm window? The new ones all have a center bar, so the top and the bottom lock together. The old ones, it was just a piece of glass and a piece of glass, and the wind blows and they do this. And if you have gray metal storm windows, it's time to get new storm windows. They were probably put on in the 50s. They weren't good to begin with. If they've lasted this long, it's kind of by a thread, and you can usually tell them they really are kind of just hanging on by the little tabs and kind of like raise them lower them cautiously. But I can't say enough for new storm windows. For about $250 a window, they are unbelievably efficient. And it's also amazing how good they are at sound control. If you live on a busy street, you will notice it instantly with new storm windows. It's like, wow, it's wild. It's a wonderful thing. If you have storm windows that aren't gray and aren't that old, it's then just a matter of looking at your storm windows and figuring out if they're doing everything they could do. I've been to so many places recently where the storm panels have to be in the right order. The one that's the farthest to the outside, that one should always be the one that's all the way at the top. The middle one should be the one that goes up and down, and of course the screen is the one most on the inside. If you put them in the wrong order, they're pretty much not doing anything. So most outside one should always be the one that's at the top. Certainly, if you can see daylight around the edges of your storm window, air is coming in. A caulk gun will do wonders to seal all that off. What we call weep holes at the bottom, you just want to weigh so that if you don't have the glass down, you have the screen down, you want water to go back out. You don't want water to sit in the sill of the window because that'll cause rot like you wouldn't believe. So we want to give it some places to go. Older storm windows had a nice little slot that they allowed for that. The newer ones have a flange at the bottom that the installer says you shouldn't do anything but just push it down. I like to push it down and then caulk it and just leave spaces for water to get back out. But pretty much if you open your window and you look at your storm window and you can see daylight through it, you need to fix that because that's going to just make the storm window not very efficient. And what's interesting about storm windows is I put a couple different pictures here. The top one is a beautifully made wooden storm window. There are people who still make wood storm windows. They really are a nice look. They're nowhere near as energy efficient as the aluminum ones, but they really do look better. The middle one is the triple track. And then the unusual shaped ones. There are companies that do make curved top ones and arch top ones. They do get expensive. There are all sorts of options to doing them, but it's definitely one of the sad things that most companies who make storm windows don't like doing shapes. They like doing squares. So we have to suffer through that a little bit. The fifth thing about improving the energy efficiency of windows that people usually don't think about is the interior treatments that you do to windows. In Britain, there have been like a bazillion studies about which interior treatments are best. Shutters, blinds, curtains, you name it, even custom-built panels. And all of them, it kind of doesn't matter. There just needs to be something. You just need to have something on the inside. And again, people say, but I don't like curtains. Well, I'm sorry, but you can't complain about your windows. You need something. And again, there's so many options these days that just pretty much adding anything will improve the energy efficiency of a window. In my house, I actually have heavy curtains that go up in the winter, and I swap them out to light curtains in the summer because they're all on these little easy rods, so it takes me half an hour to take them down and swap them out. It's not a big deal because I like it being lighter in the summer. So adding those, and again, in the summer, you're going to realize a gain by closing them during the day to keep the heat out and opening at night to get the air in. So any kind of interior window treatment is going to be a plus. And again, keeping them in good condition, because if they've got holes in them or if they don't close all the way, then they're not doing much good. And people forget, in the winter, you close them at night, open them during the day. During the day, we want the sun to warm up our room and save our heating costs. So those are kind of my top 5 reasons to keep your windows, or things that you can do to make your existing windows that much better. If you still think your windows are horribly energy inefficient, I would say have an energy audit. I believe that's Travis's area of expertise.
Yeah, I just want to jump in here and talk about this briefly. So one of the most astonishing things for me as someone who's been out in the field and conducted a couple hundred energy assessments throughout these communities is how many times I walk into somebody's home and they say, you know, it's uncomfortable, the heating costs are too high, I just need to replace my windows. And let's take a step back and let's look at your home overall, holistically. And we find that, you know, to the point that was made earlier, more often than not, the replacement of windows is not the most economically appropriate thing to do. And in terms of really improving the comfort, you know, insulating those walls, insulating those attics, and then treating your windows with these treatments that are being recommended here, go just as far, and you're really maintaining the integrity of the home. So for me personally, when I go out and I see these gorgeous homes all throughout Melrose, I cringe a little bit when I see replacement windows going up. I mean, there's a time and a place to replace a window. If it's completely falling apart and it's, you know, there's issues in which that's appropriate. And if you're gonna do it, you should do it right with the right windows. But thinking about these things that are being prescribed here is solutions to help, you know, maintain that integrity and then also improving the efficiency through putting up shutters, through, you know, sealing those glasses. Those are such major steps that from a building science perspective that we'll be prescribing, that we think, okay, this is the right step for most people. Again, if you do want to replace windows, do it right, do the right windows, do the best ones, but think about this first. You can get a lot of value out of it, and the assessments don't cost anything. You know, through the Mass Save program, if you haven't already had one, you know, you're already paying for it on your utility bill every month. And so make sure you take advantage of that. And take advantage of the incentive and rebates that are available as well. You can get the air sealing in the attic at no cost. The weatherization in the walls in the attic is 75% off, up to $2,000 per year. So there's a lot of value to be had in these programs for you. And thinking about the windows like this, I think just makes it that much better. It makes the experience that much better. So thank you.
One of the things that I just did a green fair yesterday in Peabody, and people kept coming up to me like, I wish I hadn't replaced my windows. They're no better than they were before. And I thought, yeah, it's always wonderful. Ask your neighbors next time you want to do one of these projects, because you know, they may find that they had a wonderful experience and got everything they wanted and more out of it. Others may say, no, don't do this, don't do that, whatever. The other thing that I think is always interesting is going back to those ads, save 40%, save 80%, you know, free, you can pay it all off, is no, you have to keep track of what you've actually spent on your heating costs. And then when you have your new thing in, look at it again. And again, what's hard is that every year the temperature changes. We had a really mild winter this winter. Fuel costs go up and down. So, you know, you could save, I bet everybody saved 40% on their heating bill this year. I certainly did. It was great. I'm not sure my propane guy likes me, but you know, we had a good year. So it's one of those things that it sounds really, really good to do this, but again, there have been studies that it's like the economics of it are not there. The other thing that I always find interesting is when we work on windows, it's very labor intensive. I have great people, but there's no real machines. We don't have, you know, like, there's no roping machine, there's no glazing machine. It's just hands and people doing it. And what's interesting about it is, like, when we work on a house, I don't come in and say, I want to do all 62 windows or none. I'm like, if you want to do 2, you want to do 1, you want to do 5, I'm okay with it. You know, if you want to do 1, we kind of want to put you together with other people in Melrose so we can spend less time on the road. But, you know, we're happy to do as little or as much as people want us to do. I actually kind of get freaked out. We're doing a mill building in Lowell that has 107 windows. It's going to take, I have to book out this much time in my calendar. I'm like, oh, I'm not sure I've got my head around that one yet. But for us, doing small projects is fine because it's just labor hours and we just move people as we need to do them. But I know I must admit, I had a window replacement guy come to my 1850s house and try to sell me replacement windows. And he literally didn't want to leave until I signed a contract. Okay, get him out of my house. We're not doing this. It was the most amazing hard sell I've ever been through. And I was like, gosh, you know, I would never do that. I mean, it's a lot of money. You need to think about these things. So anyway, so that's kind of like it. And I'm hoping you're like most audiences, you probably have lots of questions, which is good. See you first.
So what kind of, you know, there's your average window right there.
Yep.
And, I mean, what's it gonna cost? I mean, a Pella window or any of these replacement ones, you figure $600, $700, $800 a hole. And
Yep.
what can you do?
We can do, if we just do a tune-up, and for us a tune-up is replacing the ropes, weather stripping, we do the chip and glaze, clean the windows, and put them back in and make sure everything works. That's around $250 to $300 a window.
Okay.
If we do a full restoration, which the sample there, you know, we strip all of the paint off of it, we do all of the repairs to a window, it's spectacular looking when it's done. That for a 6/6 is around $900 a window.
Where do you recommend going, or what do you recommend for custom storm windows and screens?
I am a huge fan of the Harvey True Channel storm window. They are made in Waltham. They are a great company that has installers everywhere. And if you go onto the Harvey Industries website and you say you're a homeowner and you give them your zip code, they will tell you the top 3 installers that they recommend in your neighborhood, which is great. And they really do follow up. It was kind of amazing. This is great. They are really wonderful storm windows. They're storm windows, and those are not really hard to install. So if you're even slightly handy, you can buy them yourself and put them on.
Do you work on doors?
Occasionally we work on doors. There's a guy in Marblehead who loves working on doors. So my approach to doors is if we're doing windows already and it's just one door and it just needs weather stripping, we can do that. If the door has some serious issues, the company's called Old Town Repair. Pat Patrick loves doing door repair, does nice door repair, so I tend to send doors to him. Biggest sham ever sold on the public, because insulated glass where you have 2 panels of glass with a seal around them and an argon filling in it. Maybe in a new window it's acceptable, but in an antique window, there's several things that are problematic. One, the window was designed to have single pane glass, so the joints and everything are constructed to have a single pane glass. You double that up, you're basically killing your window. They also usually have to make this channel deeper, which weakens the window too. So you're condemning your window to an early death. And then third is that the insulated glass will fail. Sun hits in a certain way and they do this bowing and it breaks the seal, or somehow it gets out of, and they fog up, can't see out of them, and they're not doing any good except you have 2 heavy pieces of glass now. Great. I understand that glass isn't a good barrier to heat, but at the same time, if you're going to double up the glass, make it with a storm window. Don't make it on the window itself.
During today's workshop, we learned a lot about the value of repairing and fixing historic windows that add to the integrity and energy efficiency of your home. Another step in this process is getting your energy assessment through Mass Save. The Melrose Energy Commission is working with Next Step Living to provide these energy assessments for Melrose residents, and so far we've helped over 230 people get their energy assessments and are on track to weatherizing their home and saving money. You can do that by signing up at melroseenergy.org or visiting nextsteplivinginc.com.